I turn on SOS emergency SOS?
No, we've already done it.
On my phone.
No.
They're gonna pick me up? Pick us?
They're gonna leave me out here.
Huh?
Yeah, they'll pick you up. Leave me.
1 hour?
Well, you know, I understood it was gonna be some off-roading. I had no idea it was gonna be like that. At first it was a little bumpy, it was kind of fun the ride. But then towards the end, it just started getting real risky. And every time I go on these trips, I think we're right around the corner. So I just want to go through just a little bit further. And we made it through all that. And this section didn't seem that bad compared to what we saw a second ago. And of course, the tire. We weren't even that far. But this should be a warning to anyone who wants to come here. I mean, I don't even think four-wheel drive can go down this really, unless you're super experienced four-wheel driving, and even then. What did it say?
So, Spencer, do you have AAA or some sort of roadside assistance?
I had AAA, but they certainly weren't coming all the way out here. You see, I'd used a satellite phone to get help, and to be honest, I've never really been a truck person, always loving Jeeps and Hummers. I never considered that a spare tire could ever be on the bottom of a truck. I mean, come on now, really? I looked around and assumed this rental just didn't have one, and I regretted never checking beforehand, just mainly being concerned about getting stuck in the mud. Besides the tire, the check engine oil light had come on, and I grew concerned about an oil leak and more internal damage. I started to worry that even with the tire replaced, we might have to abandon the vehicle and come back for it later, in a place where people shoot up cars left behind. We're about 5.5 miles into the trek, and hiking out of here started to cross my mind as the next 2 hours passed without much word of help. Eventually, we would come in contact with an off-road volunteer group. They offered their help, and we waited. During that time, we met a mountain biker. He too had come to see the petroglyphs, and had struggled himself to cross the rough terrain. After speaking for a short while, he went on his way to the site we so badly wanted to see. Eventually, he would return and told us of the absolute beauty of the site of Lagomarsino and its petroglyphs. The look on his eyes as he stared off and reminisced, it was salt on the wound. As we spoke, it looked like the help had finally arrived. Driving a Tacoma truck just like ours, and with a tire in their trunk, I messaged the satellite service that help had arrived. These two California men immediately went to work. Finding the tire underneath the truck, we began to jack it up. By this time, it had come up in conversation that they weren't actually the people sent to help. They'd come to see the petroglyphs too, and had gone a different route near my original attempt. They mentioned it was incredibly rough and dangerous. They seemed surprised to have made it through. I was now in a tough position. The satellite contact was confused. I corrected myself and told them it was actually local help and told them not to send anyone. But they said the volunteer was already on his way and that they couldn't contact him because he was off the grid, didn't have service. Then, talking to the older men, I told them we might stay put, worrying that if we left, the volunteer could search for hours and potentially be put in danger if he didn't find us. What if he took their route? I thought. If we wouldn't meet him on the way out? They insisted I take the help I happened upon, and I wasn't hard to be convinced as the drum of thunder began. With the mountain biker hopping in their truck and our tire now replaced, our new formed caravan made its way uphill and out of this rough terrain. A seemingly minor situation can quickly get worse and worse if given enough bad luck. I'd initially worried about something happening on a 5-foot hike out of here. I would never have guessed rain and hail. This was difficult enough to get through by vehicle, never mind on foot.
I can't see. What do you see? I can't see anything.
We now faced a really difficult position. Going uphill, back through the boulders and now mud, we began to get stuck and slide. This was right on the edge of the hill. At the same time, we were being told by the satellite contact to stay put, but there's no going back now. We couldn't wait in this position. In all that, the volunteer finally rounded the corner. And with that extra layer of stress now removed, our group of now 6 and 1 dog would make the final stretch. From that point on, we were in the clear for the most part, and the rain began to stop. The volunteer's name was Ralph, and he had driven 2 hours with the tire he borrowed from his sister's truck and came all the way here to help for free. We thanked him many times, like the others who had helped us, but I wish I could remember their names and thank them many more times. They had helped us so much. I'll never forget. Though a stressful situation, we wouldn't let this moment hold us back. And after observing our vehicle and later getting an alignment and a new tire, we continued on our journey.
Welcome to
Kyburz Flat. So this area was home to the Martis people who existed around 2000 BC onto 500 AD. Later on, this area would be occupied by the King's Beach culture. But the petroglyphs around this area and the various mortar carvings in the rocks, those are from the Martis people. So we're going to be discovering them today. There's one right near us here. Anything to say about that, Amelia? What do you think?
I hope it went well.
I hope it goes well because yesterday was not fun. So it's believed these cupel carvings, basically spherical carvings into the rock, it's believed they were used for ceremonial purposes, doing various rituals, and offerings were placed right around here, it's believed. But you can see some of them here. It's hard to tell. They've been really worn down by the elements, especially with the winter freezing and rain, everything like that. But you can see them right here. If you want to zoom into some of them, they come down here. But it's been split into 3 pieces. These are the main 3 pieces anyway. You can see this old tree here. If I had to guess, probably 200 or 300 years ago, a little seed fell in between a crack in the rock, and then it grew out, died, and split the rock here. Just to imagine everyone gathered around this area, men and women, using the mortars and pestles around this center sort of shrine, if you will. You can imagine campsites sort of established around this area. A beautiful sight. We'll move on to the next one. What? A bird?
Yeah.
He's trying to go to the bathroom. There's a bird in there. We'll let the bird out.
It's a squirrel. What is it? On a T. Squirrel. Squidlo.
A squid?
No.
A squirrel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
I see. So during the gold rush, this was known as Moore's Station. There were roads kind of going through this area. It's outside of my interests here. I'm mainly looking at the older Native American sites, but we're crossing through this path that was once crossed through by not only Native Americans, but the gold rush times Americans. There was an old hotel once here, a well, and Moore's Station. This would have looked very different throughout the ages. It's crazy how you can never cross through one period of history. Just look at that.
Where Mars Hotel. Just a tea. It was this toy?
I don't know, I thought you were the expert on this.
No. Where?
I'm not really an expert on, you know, American history.
Do I look American, huh?
A little bit.
Why? Because I have blonde hair?
It's more orange.
Oh yeah. Why? Because I have orange hair? Huh? Think so?
So it's again thought that the Native Americans around this area didn't really inhabit it in any permanent settlements. Of course, I don't think there's really any way of knowing. I'd assume there were definitely some settlements around here at different stages in time, but it's often thought that people would use these areas to come down and do some hunting, foraging, resource gathering, and maybe took part in some of these ceremonies. Maybe that was a reason for coming down here. But that was this site. We're gonna move on to another one to continue our journey through ancient America.
After dropping Amelia off at work again, I decided I would drive around Lake Tahoe. This ancient land, the mountains around the area, the absolute power of nature. You could almost feel it in the air. We had driven around the Tahoe area for about a week now, but little did we know this was the place of many Washoe legends. In their beliefs, their territory was home to several extraordinary creatures. One type being the water babies, who dwelled in all bodies of water. These beings possessed great power, capable of both causing harm, like illness or death, and bringing good fortune. Washoe healers would visit the sacred cave rock where the water babies resided, seeking guidance, offering respect, and renewing their powers. Another legend spoke of a monstrous man-eating giant inhabiting a cave near Cave Rock, preying upon those who neglected their responsibilities. Then there was Ong, a colossal bird that nested in the heart of Lake Tahoe. Ong's immense size and strength were such that its wing beats could bend trees along the shoreline. One day, a Washoe man found himself snatched up by Ong and taken to its nest. Fortunately, the Washoe wasn't immediately devoured because Ong had another victim to consume. As the Washoe observed the bird eating, he noticed it closed its eyes to chew. Seizing an opportunity, the Washoe hurled arrowheads into the Ong's mouth whenever it closed its eyes. By nightfall, Ong fell gravely ill, and a fierce storm raged through the night, culminating in the monster's demise by the morning. Using one of Ong's massive feathers as a makeshift boat, the Washoe made his escape, leaving the Ong's nest now submerged at the bottom of the lake. Another tale was that of Tahoe's Tessie, a Loch Ness monster of the American West. These legends have been passed down since the days of the Washoe and Paiute tribes, who revered the beast as a powerful being, rumored to dwell beneath the sacred area near Cave Rock like the water babies. This creature, said to be descended from Lake Tahoe's turquoise waters, was so sacred that mentioning it was taboo, feared to bring blindness or death. Sightings of Tessie persist to this day. Eyewitnesses since the 1970s describe encounters with a serpent-like creature up to 20 feet long with an oddly small head and undulating movements. Famous figures like Jacques Cousteau reportedly encountered it, deeming it too shocking for public disclosure. In 2004, a global conference of unidentified swimming objects, USOs, was held at Lake Tahoe, fueling speculation about Tessie's true identity, whether prehistoric relic or new species. One thing is clear: a mysterious creature roams the depths.
Like,
You alright, man?
oh my god.
You alright?